Hello everyone and welcome to Game 3 in a series between Socke and Morrow here on Metalopolis. Here we have Socke spawning as the red Protoss player this time. Meanwhile, we have Morrow spawning as the light blue Terran player over here at the 3 o'clock position. So yeah, once again, this is going to be Terran versus Protoss. The first two games have been really interesting. I've really enjoyed them so far, and let's see how this game unfolds. Now, this is what I call an ally spawn here on Metalopolis. You'll see that Socke spawning over here at the 6 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Morrow spawning over here at the 3 o'clock position. These are fairly close spawns, but they are fairly close spawns in terms of walking distance. However, they are not close spawns in terms of flying distance. On top of that, any units in transition will be able to spot perhaps any flying units, any void rays, any banshees that are trying to push in. So this will be a very interesting matchup to say the least. As a probe, now going to be able to scout out Morrow in just a moment. So Peppy the probe now going to be able to push in here and now see that there is a supply depot and continue to zap even further. Now trying to deal some damage towards this one SCV over here. Very nicely done by Morrow. Morrow having one SCV repairing, and then also a second SCV attacking this one probe. So that probe able to constantly deal damage. However, netting the damage to 0 pretty much. As we also see a refinery coming into play. So Morrow pretty much building a standard opening now, trying to get in more damage onto this SCV. SCV down to 11, 6 hit points. Will it be enough? Now trying to pull away. Now trying to get some SCVs in order to repair. There we go. 2 SCVs repairing their buddy. And now Stevie with 2 BFFs able to stay alive in this game. Currently sitting at 14 hit points. Probably needs to get repair 2 more hit points just so that probe is unable to get 3 hits in order to zap it. So will that probe come back in for more damage? No, not coming back in for more damage. Socke, however, doing a great job constantly harassing while keeping up production in his base. This one probe down to 12 shields, and now we see a Marine being trained out over here. Will this probe be able to get damage onto the SCV? No, as this SCV now trained or repaired up to 19 hit points. We do see the probe now trying to chase after another SCV, so brilliantly done so far. Morrow having the best anti-probe harassment I've seen from any Terran player in quite some time. We're going to see that this SCV now in this base, going to be able to quickly scout out this location, sees the cybernetics core. Key question, is there going to be double gas? And he does see that, no, does not see that there's double gas just quite yet. There we go, revealing that assimilator as it's currently being warped in. So he needs to make sure and look around the base, make sure that there isn't any sort of starport as soon as the cybernetics core comes into play. And it looked like something was trained, yeah, a stalker was currently being trained along with that warp gate research. Down over here on the low ground, we see one probe, and we now see some marauders being trained up as well. So marauder into more barracks. Only one refinery currently up for Morrow. So Morrow not going into any sort of factory play, or at least not any siege tanks or any banshees, as now we have a stalker currently being trained up. That stalker will try to chase down that one SCV. No, just going to sit over here on this ramp instead. We do have one pylon here. We have double assimilators up, so a Socke will be able to get a stronger and stronger economy in just a moment. However, he's going to throw down a robotics facility. With that robotics facility, that means that we're not going to see any sort of void ray, just perhaps observers and maybe immortals. So will he train up enough Marines in order to counteract this? Yes, Morrow now throwing down a reactor instead of a tech lab. Now also getting that new stim pack, so that, or the new icon on that stim pack, 140 units of time to research that. May also get the combat shields as well. Currently still only running off of 1 Vespene geyser so far, as a 3rd barracks now coming into play. So barracks, and now what is this group of SCVs and marauders doing? So a little bit curious as to what exactly that this is all about. Currently coming in, is he going to start mining from here? Yeah, currently mining here, and not exactly sure what he's doing with those gold minerals in hand. So Morrow doing, I don't know what he's doing here. Maybe I can ask Morrow one day why he just had one SCV currently just sitting there. Okay, wants to steal some minerals and then just be on patrol in this position, making sure that there isn't any sort of expansion there. We do have the robotics bay now being thrown down. So that means we're going to go for Colossus. So this infantry army of Marines will quickly get taken down by those Colossus. We do not see any medevacs, no factory yet. So if that robotics facility is able to be completed, that means that it's going to have a very, very difficult time. We now see a group of marauders and Marines pushing up. We do have 1 sentry, so 1 sentry has enough for 2 force fields, most likely, if he's able to get this off. Marines now trying to push up. Is he going to split this army? Oh, no, not going to split the army. I think what Socke wanted to do was try to split the army so that Half of the Marauders ended up on the high ground, the other half ended up on the low ground. Another sentry now being warped in as well. So this one sentry, will it be able to, yeah, getting one Marine there. However, that one Zealot down to 12 hit points, taking a little bit too much damage there. Continuing the fight, we need to get more sentries in position as we're now chrono boosting an Immortal, not even getting the Colossus just quite yet. So not exactly sure what that's about. We do see another warp gate, or sorry, another Stargate or gateway now being positioned there, and there comes that force field. So splitting that army, nicely done. However, is it going to be enough? That one Marauder on that high ground, and down that goes again. So army-wise, both sides even at 700 versus 700. However, another stim pack will cause a lot of damage towards these units, especially without that combat shield. In comes another fight. Are we going to get another sentry? No, the sentries do not have enough for a force field. So currently trying to get more and more energy there. Another pylon being warped in. We do have one Immortal in this position, so that Immortal right here will be able to start blasting away. There is also an Observer in the base as well, so that Observer now going to get sight, and we are now getting a starport up. So that starport will most likely do a tech lab or a reactor swap in just a moment. However, Morrow will not be able to double train medevacs just because he does not have enough gas just quite yet. And back over here, the Observer getting as much scouting information as he needs as both players are sitting on one base. We finally have a Colossus now being trained. Will that Colossus be enough? An army of Marines and Marauders sitting out over here. The medevac now Vikings being trained. So Morrow, I guess he's suspecting that there are going to be Colossi. Yeah, he was able to see that robotics bay earlier. Now training up that one Colossus in order to try to push back this army here. We have a decent amount of units over here. So we have Zealots, Stalkers, and Immortals with sentries perhaps trying to move out. We also have a factory now moving out in order to do some scouting. So this Observer is going to be very careful and making it so that these units are going to be hidden over here. In comes this one Colossus. The factory does not see that Colossus joining in, and now we have a pylon being warped in over here. So these Marines, 2 Vikings now currently being massed as more Vikings gonna be trained up. Will it be enough? In comes a force field. Needs to drop a force field onto that ramp, and now out comes this fight even further. Those Marines and Marauders continuing to fight this one Colossus. No longer has any shield as Stalkers now trying to push up and down go a couple more of those units there. Stalkers, however, do not have any sort of blink. Now gonna just deal damage towards this tech lab. This Colossus may be able to push through that force field. I don't understand why the Colossus didn't just take down their own force field for them, as these units now trying to push through back and forth. SCVs coming off the mineral line in order to deal damage. There is one Immortal there. Down goes this Colossus due to Viking focus fire. However, those Vikings need to come into that ground mode. Army-wise, we have 1,050 versus 700 SCVs trying to join in on this fight, trying to save this army over here, but Socke able to continue to deal more and more damage, and now more units being warped in as well. So Socke going to be charging in with Zealots in just a moment, as the Zealot and a Stalker continuing to fight, dealing more and more damage. One Marauder should be able to take down that Immortal there, and there we go. However, the Harvester count, 33 versus 13, and in comes one Viking onto that ground mode. So SCVs perhaps need to throw down a bunker right here in order to hold off any sort of attack. There are currently three factories, one Viking or one starport here. There is a factory still walking around or flying around inside the base of Socke. So Socke currently in a very dominant position, should be able to warp in more units. Yeah, in come those Immortals. Stalkers now trying to push in as well. Marauders joining in on this fight. One Observer able to gain sight continually throughout this fight. This Immortal able to just finish off the rest of these Marauders here as those Marines are trying to come out, but not able to handle this army here. So a 650 versus a 450 army, not enough workers in order to try to come back into this game. And now Socke taking game 3 in this matchup. So Socke taking game 3. I do have some more games in this series to cast. I do not want to tell you exactly how many games, just in case you can, if you knew it was a best of 5 or best of 7, or I've never heard of a best of 9, but if it was a best of 9 series. So yeah, really a great game by Morrow and Socke here. I think Socke, by only training one Colossus, he was able to force Morrow to invest very heavily into Vikings instead of trying to train any medevacs. And because there were no medevacs, these Marines and Marauder army was not strong enough to deal with the number of Stalkers and Immortals that were pushing through. If Socke had tried to get 2 more Colossi, those Vikings could have made short work of them, taking them down. Vikings dealing 28 damage per round of attack, and also with that Lancer Torpedoes range of 9, able to shoot those Colossi out of the air, because they are very, very tall units, and destroy them very quickly. Now, Socke pushed with only a 3-gate with the robotics facility and decided to stick with only one base play, which was very, very critical. And pretty much, Socke knew that by putting pressure in one base play, he would deny Morrow any sort of expansion attempt. And if this fight had not gone very well for Socke, he would still be able to expand over here onto the low ground and have a very, very dominant economically just because of the number of workers that he had. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and thanks for sticking around to this conclusion. Remember to like this video already so that it gets promoted and featured on YouTube even further. Thanks for watching.